This is Lesson 14 in the Mr. Circuit STEM Coloring Activity Book. In this lesson, we introduce the DC to DC power supply circuit. It is an electronic circuit that is designed to turn 9 volts DC into a voltage that varies from 0 to about 9 volts DC, because some devices require less than 9 volts. What does DC mean? It stands for direct current. All batteries put out DC. Your electricity from the wall socket at home is AC, or alternating current. Most small electronic devices are designed to run on DC. At home, when you plug in your laptop computer, the small device you plug into the wall socket is a power supply that converts AC to DC. The schematic diagram for the DC to DC power supply circuit is shown on the lower right-hand side of the page. It has schematic symbols that you were taught in previous lessons of this book. You may remember that a potentiometer varies its resistance as you twist its shaft. In this circuit, when you adjust the potentiometer, you vary the output voltage because this circuit was designed by engineers to take a 9-volt DC battery voltage and convert it into a voltage that varies from 0 to about 9 volts. There is an LED in the circuit. What do you think the LED does? It is a voltage indicator. The LED gets brighter as the output voltage gets higher. On page 14, you see that the artist shows the Mr. Circuit robot is putting in lots of water into a funnel and getting less water out. This DC to DC power supply does something similar. Its input is 9 volts DC, and its output is a voltage somewhere between 0 and a little less than 9 volts DC, depending on the adjustment of the potentiometer. At the bottom of the page, what does Mr. Circuit say? Mr. Circuit says, here is a DC to DC power supply circuit using 2 resistors, an LED, a potentiometer, and an NPN transistor. Please put a circle around the schematic symbol of the transistor on the schematic diagram at the bottom right-hand side of the page. Here are some important things that you were taught in this lesson. 1. What components are used to make this DC to DC power supply circuit? 2. That a DC to DC power supply puts out a variable voltage from 0 to about 9 volts DC. 3. How to spell and pronounce DC to DC power supply circuit. You can finish this lesson by coloring in the Mr. Circuit robot on page 14. Now remember, when you complete this STEM technology book, you will receive a certificate of completion.